Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And by Krishna, we mean consciousness itself. Consciousness, source, power, divine. In whatever form this consciousness appears to you, whatever the name you give it, Hare Krishna. Hare is a word with multiple meanings. The defeater of evil, the defeater of our inner enemies, the savior. Because ultimately this is who you are, your inner self, is this consciousness, which is the peace that saves you in all situations, is the source of everything that is happening in your life. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, the one without raga, without any choice, without any preference. A choicelessness which comes from completeness. Consciousness is all there is and everything that there is. Then what is there to crave for? What is there to prefer? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. नंद के दुलारे यशोदा के प्यारे, नंद के दुलारे यशोदा के प्यारे, गोविंद मुरारे, गोविंद मुरारे, दीनों के सहारे, गोविंद मुरारे, दीनों के सहारे. Deen is not simply the absence of wealth. It's the absence of divine from our life. It's the absence of remembering and knowing who we really are. Govind Murare, Govind Murare, दीनों के सहारे, गोविंद मुरारे, दीनों के सहारे, नंद के दुलारे. Is not able to hear. Hello. कोई बोल रहा है yes, कोई बोल रहा है no. Okay.
Now yes.
Okay. Able to hear? Yeah. So in the sense of, from the point of view of the outer self, from the point of view of the outer self, which is unaware of the inner self, there is lack. There is a lack of that presence. So, and from that point of view, that outer self suffers and is suffering from the poverty of the presence of the inner self. And this is it is us in this form, requesting our own inner self to enrich us with its own presence. And in that sense, we are all poor. गोविंद मुरारे दीनों के सहारे, गोविंद मुरारे दीनों के सहारे, नंद के दुलारे यशोदा के प्यारे, करुणा सागर करुणा सागर गिरधर नागर, मुरली मनोहर माही मुरारे. The outer self in its journey, in its search for the true and only self that there is, needs help, needs support, needs form. It is only used to form. In order to understand and experience the formless, this outer self must take the help of form to reach the formless. Whether it takes the form of ideas, of an ocean of compassion, or the form of symbols, Murali Manohar, Manohar, where the mind disappears, Manohar, with the sound, with the silence, with the beauty, with the music of the flute. That flute with which the mind disappears. The outer self needs the help of these symbols, this sound, something to hold on to. In the midst of all the darkness and the ignorance, something to take help and climb out and reach this ocean of formlessness. Otherwise, the inner self is beyond all of this, is beyond compassion, is beyond the sound, beyond the music, the source of music, the source of compassion. But to reach the source of compassion, we can go via compassion, via the feeling of compassion, via the sound of the flute. Karuna Sagar, Karuna Sagar, Giridhar Nagar, Murli Manohar, Murli Manohar, Mahi Murare, Nand ke dulare, Yashoda ke pyare, Govind Murare, दीनों के सहारे, गोविंद मुरारे दीनों के सहारे. O helper of the helpless, take us to that source, take us back to our own true self, take us back to this that we already are, but we have forgotten. Remind us with the sound of the flute. the music. Remind us through silence. Remind us through compassion. Remind us through selflessness. Remind us through examples of love. Remind us in whatever way, whatever shape, whatever form that our mind can understand. And remind us of that source, that open, empty space of love, that open, empty space of nothingness from which everything emerges. Nand ke dulare, Yashoda ke pyare, reminding us of the love of a father, reminding us of the love of the mother, so that we can remember love itself. This is the true purpose of these words, so that we can go beyond the words. Govind Murare, Dino ke sahare. Govind Murare, Dino ke sahare. Nand ke dulare, Yashoda ke pyare. We take whatever help we can get from any source to reach the source. So that in every moment, in every pleasant, unpleasant moment, we can quickly and immediately return to the true self that we are. Moment to moment. And then having basked in this sunlight, in this sunshine of nothingness, we can bring it back out. We can bring it back out into the world. The destination and the journey, both exciting, both wonderful, both divine, both filled with love. So that's the quest. Great. So wonderful. So any thoughts, questions, insights, comments on this journey of your life? Yes, Purushottam ji.
एक तो इसका टाइटल मुझे एक अच्छा याद आ रहा है,
Huh.
This is prayer from self to self.
Prayer from self to self. Yes. Prayer from self to self. Yes.
और इतनी अच्छी इंसाइट इस भजन को कई बार सुना, लेकिन
Yeah.
ये जो नजरिया है या ये इंसाइट है, इट इज जस्ट अमेजिंग. मतलब और सिर्फ वर्ड सुन के और वो जी उस कंटेस्ट से वर्ड सुन रहे हैं, तो
Correct.
ऐसा लग रहा है कि डायरेक्ट कॉन्शियसनेस के पास पहुंच रहे हैं, मेडिटेटिव स्टेट में पहुंच रहे.
Exactly.
डायलॉग विद सेल्फ.
Yes.
अच्छा.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
It's a dialogue with self. It's a dialogue with the self. And you know, the funny thing is that everything is a dialogue of the self with the self. All of it, all of it, all of it. Now, let me see if I can use this mic instead. Hold on one second. Yeah. So there is a professor by the name of Dr. Bernardo Kastrup, he is a PhD in like multiple things. He has like a double PhD in psychology and in philosophy and in physics also, I think, and I don't know what else. He's a very, very learned, very, 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 very knowledgeable person who is also been studying Advaita and non-duality and the self. And he had something very interesting to say, that one of the only way that all of us, the different forms of I, can have a conversation with each other or interact with each other at the same time, or that all the I's can experience life and even speak to each other. For us to do that at the same time, right? You're also experiencing this conversation. I'm also experiencing this conversation. This body is experiencing your body, your ears are experiencing this conversation, both at the same time, So the only way that you and I can experience this conversation at the same time is possible only if we are at the same time and the same place. Then it's not possible to have a conversation. For me to have a conversation with you at the same time, if we are at the same time at the same place, then it's not possible. If we are too close, we are in the same place at the same time, and it's not possible. So the only way for this conversation to happen is if we are separated by space. We cannot be separated by time, because we have to have it simultaneously, this conversation at the same time. So the only other way out is to be separated by space. So the I in this form separates itself in space, in your form, Purushottamji and Pandeyji and Jennifer and all of us and everyone in the world. हम एक दूसरे से अलग दिख रहे हैं. We have separated ourselves in order that we can experience the universe at the same time. That the I can experience the universe from different points of view, different opinions, different backgrounds, different experiences, different thoughts. If you and I are going to have the same thought, or even different thoughts, if you and I were in the same place at the same time, it would be impossible to have different thoughts. But in order to do that, we have to force ourselves to be separated in space. But so think of think of people, others, as you. But if I want to talk to I, if this I wants to talk again to this I must separate into two or more forms and shapes so that I can have a conversation and have an interaction and have this game and experience all that we experience. So why we look separate, feel separate, or have separation is only for the purpose of this simultaneous experience, so that we can simultaneously experience. So we need to be separated by space. But that does not mean that we are separate or that we are different, we are separate. It does not mean that. Normally we look at our separation and think, oh, aap alag hai, main alag hu. Hum ye sochte hain ki aap alag hai, main alag hu. लेकिन ये अनुभव के लिए जरूरी है. लेकिन इसका ये अलगपन का मतलब नहीं है कि हम अलग है, हम एक ही है. And whenever you see anybody, everybody in your life, in this circle, in this open door, on the street, it is just you again and again and again, but separated in space, just so you can see. Just so you can see. It is like the eye cannot see itself. You need the mirror, you need the separation, you need the distance so that you can see yourself. So, and this is now, there is physicists who are actually making these connections about how that separateness in space is not an actual separation. There's a unifying oneness. And so there are scientific papers which actually talk about this understanding and this theory. And I don't remember the exact paper or the scientist, but this Professor Kastrup was quoting scientific work. तो जो हम अनुभव कर रहे हैं एक दूसरे के लिए, see, that's the only explanation for love. How do you explain love otherwise? मतलब इसका कोई explanation ही नहीं मिलता है. Explanation यही हो सकता है कि हम अलग है ही नहीं. That is the only explanation. Otherwise, why is there love? There is no logic to love. It's imaginary. It's just so, and there's no real separation. And somewhere we know कि यार ये वही है. It's like those movies, where there's a घिसा पिटा theme, but the brothers get separated at Kumbh Mela and they meet each other after 20 years. And for no reason, they feel an affinity for each other. And somehow they come together and they feel this affinity, and they don't know why. It is because they have the same source, the same parents. That same sourceness that those two brothers somehow know, or a brother and a sister, they somehow know this sameness which brings them or draws them closer to each other. और हमारा भी कुछ यही सिलसिला है कि हम जानते हैं एक लेवल पे, कहीं ना कहीं कुछ याद है, that you and I are the same. We are all the same source. Somewhere there's memory. Somewhere there's memory, just like that Kumbh Mela wala scene, where somehow we got separated, but still we know And that knowing, ye janna, that is what love is. That knowing that, listen, there's something here, that we all come from the same source. So remembering that more and more clearly, more and more vividly, with everyone, in the midst of difficult situations. And often ये जो कुंभ मेला वाला जो प्लॉट है, वो और भी पक्का बनाने के लिए वो दो में से एक चोर बनता है, एक पुलिस बनता है. They literally take opposite sides of the fence. And they are at loggerheads with each other and fighting and arguing, and they're completely opposite. And yet somehow when one of them is about to give the final blow, that memory, so before the final blow, remember on your own. Remember, अपने आप याद कर लीजिए इस बात को. और कभी कभी सहायता के लिए माँ पहुंच जाती है वो सीन पे. अरे ये तो तेरा भाई है. तू भूल गया है, लेकिन ये तेरा भाई है. देख उसके माले में कौन सी माला है, उसके गले में कौन सी माला है. And he checks, अरे हाँ ये तो वही है. And then all hatred suddenly disappears. And all animosity suddenly disappears. And they are one again. And I was telling you the other day, this is the only story there is. Trust me, in different shapes, different forms, different names, this is the only story. In the world, any storybook you want, you pick up randomly. Any movie that you want, pick up randomly. At the bottom of it, it is this. Everything is wonderful. Then there is something tragic that happens and separation happens. Either you are separated from your love, you are separated from your home, you are separated from your wealth, you are separated from your family, or you are separated from understanding who you are. You forget who you are. So you're separated from knowledge, wo beoda ban jata hai. You're separated from wealth, garib ban jata hai. You're separated from love, devdas ban jata hai. You see, the devdas so looks like a different story than the one about the rich and the poor. वो separated from love, devdas ban jata hai. Separated from the parents, वो कुछ और बन जाता है, criminal बन जाता है. And then he goes on in this quest, in this search. As a criminal, he does more and more crime, and yet he doesn't find what he's looking for. And the one who becomes poor is looking for wealth and still doesn't find. Or somebody becomes rich, which is nothing but separation from poverty. Wealth is separation from poverty. So this wealthy person is also still again looking for more wealth, look, thinking that udhar milega mujhe. But he's not, the wealth doesn't satisfy him, because what he's actually separated from is poverty. And so the quest for wealth doesn't satisfy him until he discovers that wealth is not what he's looking for. And then he's again reunited with wealth, or reunited with knowledge, or reunited with parents, or reunited with love, reunited with the love of their life, or reunited with okayness, reunited with knowledge. And that's the happy ending. This is it. That's the happy ending which we all love. And the interesting thing is, no matter how often this story is repeated, we still love it. We watch it over and over in different names, different theaters, different hero, different heroine. The hero is different, the heroine is different, the theater is different, the time is different, the place is different. The story is... And forget about theaters and movies and cinema halls and all that. This is also the story of your life and my life. At some level, this whole journey of life, we are all separated from this true self. Taking birth, taking this form, taking on this body itself is an act of separation. Separation from our true source in the form, in this form. Birth, separation from the mother. And the whole journey is nothing but a quest for reunification with our true source. And we go here and there and everywhere, looking. Until we discover that the one we are looking for is really our own self, our true self, our own inner self. And then there is reunification, and that's enlightenment, and that's the spiritual journey, and that's the only journey there is. I don't care how it looks, just like the different movies, different people have different lives. Someone may be a criminal, someone is a lawyer, someone is a terrorist, someone is a saint, someone is a sevak, somebody is a whatever. The underlying story is the same, is the story of separation and reunification. So you and I are in a unique position to kind of fast forward this movie. You and I, with this understanding, can fast forward the story of our life. And move to a next level of story, which happens after the reunification. What does that story look like? That's the story you and I want to live. Where knowing who we are, knowing who our true self is, and becoming one with that. Now what is the journey? The quest is over. The search is over. The thirst is over. When that has happened, what is next? That adventure is what this whole journey, this whole open door platform is about, is how each one of us can live, create the post reunification story. Coming out of satisfaction, coming out of fullness, coming out of okayness, coming out of knowing everywhere you look, there is only me. When there is no strife, there is no conflict, there is no confusion, there is only clarity, openness, love. Now what? So we are done with that other game, that other story. वो फिल्मी कहानी अपने लिए खत्म. अभी आगे बढ़ते हैं दूसरे चैप्टर के लिए. For the next book, which 99.9% of the population doesn't even know about. What is that next chapter? What does that next chapter look like? Wonderful. So I'm excited to be part of this journey with all of you, where we know who we are, and now we are going to live from that. So it's a non-stop adventure, you know, and of course the reality is that we fall back into that common usual story. Every now and then we fall back into the filmy dialogue of our life. But the more you spend time in this second chapter and less time in the first chapter, more and more frequently, more and more quickly, that's when life becomes an adventure. So, and for myself, I'm noticing, that whenever I'm in that second chapter, there's music, there is love, there is laughter. You cannot imagine how funny this Monday's satsang was. And some of you may have seen the video, some of you were present also. Hum has ke thak gaye because it was just so much fun. So if you haven't seen that video, please check it out. Spirituality is not practical, part 2. Great. Any other questions or comments, everyone? Anyone before we close?
So, could you please repeat the name of that scientist?
Bernardo Kastrup.
Bernardo.
Kastrup, Kastrup. Bernardo Kastrup. Bernardo Kastrup. He has a website and very, very interesting. He has a website with six or seven chapters on this whole theory of physics, where physics and philosophy meet Advaita. And I don't know how many of us know stuff, but I would love to share and go through those chapters with all of you. But when I found that particular website, I literally did not sleep for 6 days because I was just reading and absorbing what is in that website. उसी में डूब गया. Because it's a more than spirituality. It's a meeting point on that. So if you are interested, maybe what we can do is have extra sessions on some of this kind of deep research and deep understanding. Because there are people who only feel, they don't want to bother with knowledge or understanding. They only want to feel. But I happen to be someone who loves to feel and loves to think, loves to know both. दोनों मुझे पसंद है. So we can spend, the Thursdays can be all about our normal ones, but we can have some extra sessions where we just go, where we go deeply to understanding, deeper and deeper. There are books which are so amazing, which I have been reading, which I feel कि ज़्यादा लोगों को इसमें दिलचस्पी आएगी या नहीं पता नहीं, but I'd love to share with any of you who would like to spend time in that. So we'll start some extra sessions. Okay. So give me a thumbs up if you want to go through some of those things in depth. Double thumbs up. Purushottam ji thumbs up, Amruta thumbs up. So okay, fine. चलेंगे. निकल पड़ेंगे उस journey पे भी. Great. So yeah, Bernardo Kastrup. Any other questions or comments before we end? Great. हाँ कविता जी, आप अनम्यूट करें. Okay, unmute. Now you can unmute. Huh.
Besides all the reading, understanding, what is I feel the only method for realizing is meditation. And we must maybe almost enforce in every one of us what Guruji has taught us, that unless we meditate and experience and then go beyond our mind, we won't get to that moksha or realize why we are born. Maybe the two brothers are different because the other wants to put him through exams and make him evolve over his weaknesses and teaching him lessons. But ultimate is meditation. If we are not doing meditation minimum twice a day, then we are really lacking in approach.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. We have to go
And
beyond.
if we can all sit in our own places at the same time, morning, evening, I mean, that is the ultimate. If we don't do
Correct, but
meditation, then we won't get anywhere except watching a good, even in meditation, it's like watching a good movie and how we behave after the meditation during the day. That is also important. We have to analyze after meditation, how did we do? You know, it's like theory and practical.
correct.
I think.
So what you're saying, I agree 100%. But I'd like us to expand the definition of meditation a little bit. So when, let's say, there's a word that is new for you. Let's say I came across a word today which I didn't know before, or maybe I knew but I'd forgotten. The word is lectern, Lectern. Okay, lectern. So now just be aware, be very aware as you go through this process of knowing what it is. So a lectern is a small podium. When it's a small podium with a leg and a stand and a thing, it comes from the word lecturer comes from the word lectern. So that place or a stand where a lecturer stands and puts his book or his laptop and speaks from, that stand is called a lectern. Okay? Got it? Understood? Okay. So I want you to just pause for a moment at that moment of understanding this word lectern. When at that moment of understanding, you need brains, ears, all that to analyze, to hear what I'm saying, to hear the meaning of the word lectern. You need your brain, you need your attention, you need your ears, you need your intellect. But after that is done and the moment of understanding happens, that moment is beyond intellect. Moment, what lecture means, moment of understanding is beyond mind. So, and going beyond mind, beyond intellect, beyond thought, there is no thought. You may be thinking, Acha, what is lectern, what is lecturer, this, that. But when that moment of understanding comes, there is no thought. So that going beyond the mind for that moment is what is meditation. So when you hear a bhajan, again, the words are whatever they are, but there's a moment when you go beyond those words and you connect with something deeper. That is meditation. Every time you remind yourself who you are during the process of life, you know, you get into a fight and then you suddenly realize, Arey yaar, kyun main jagad raha hu, chodo. Moment of meditation. So yes, meditation, but it is not limited to just sitting down in one place and closing your eyes. That's fine. Nothing wrong with doing that. But discovering more and more and more and more and again and again and again, these moments of meditation, going beyond the mind in different forms, different places with different circumstances, then that meditation is available all the time. All the time. Right now, I mean, I would say you being in this space of just listening, absorbing, being with this source, this understanding is nothing but meditation. For me, there is no way I can plan everything I'm saying. There is no way I can think about all this in advance. So it's just in the moment, spontaneous, whatever is occurring, and I'm just stepping out of the way. I'm stepping out of the way of judgment. I'm stepping out of the way of intellect, intelligence, and just allowing source, mind, or the true self, inner self, to simply express. That is meditation. So yes, meditation to get into touch with that, but let's expand this understanding of meditation, that it is available all the time, every time, in any time, and practicing the samadhi meditation twice a day, vipassana, all forms, wonderful, most welcome. That can also be a part of your repertoire, where life itself becomes a meditation. Yeah, Pandey.
मैं ये कह रहा था, एक तो जो आपने ये जो बताया ना, वो बहुत रुचिकर लग रहा है. मैंने इसको जो क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स जब पढ़ते हैं ना, तो ऐसा आनंद आता है, वो लगता है फिलॉसफी और साइंस दोनों बिल्कुल मर्ज हो गए, एक दूसरे से मतलब एक हैं, गड्ढम गड्ढ हैं, कोई अंतर नहीं है नॉन ड्यूअलिटी और क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स में. और दूसरी बात ये है कि जो आपके साथ सत्संग होता है ना, जो इंस्टा मेडिटेशन है, और ये जो आपने नॉन ड्यूअलिटी में जब हम रहते हैं, तो मेडिटेशन हैपेंस ऑल द टाइम. अब रही बात ये जो इन्होंने, कविता जी ने बहुत अच्छी बात जो कही है, अगर इसके बावजूद क्या होता है कि मेडिटेशन और ये जो ये एक यात्रा है, एक नित्य साधना चलती रहती है, एंड पीपल स्टिल, इफ पीपल वांट दिस डेली मेडिटेशन एंड टू बी इन टुगेदरनेस, तो हमारे यहाँ पर नित्य साधना ग्रुप है. डेली 6:30 to 7:30 वी आर डूइंग प्राणायाम एंड मेडिटेशन, स्ट्रेचिंग करते हैं, फिर हम मेडिटेशन करते हैं और प्राणायाम करते हैं. सारे लोग साथ में करते हैं. नित्य साधना ग्रुप है, उसमें ये जुड़ सकते हैं. एंड इट इज गोज ऑन रेगुलरली 6:30 7:30 इन द मॉर्निंग. और आपके साथ में तो हम थर्सडे को आ जाते हैं, तो उससे ऑटोमेटिक वो जो कंटिन्यूअस सतत साधना जिसको कहते हैं,
सतत साधना, नित्य, वंडरफुल. या
थैंक
तो आप ग्रेट. तो ये नित्य साधना का नंबर या जो भी है, आप शेयर करिए, ग्रुप
शेयर कर लूंगा.
वंडरफुल, very nice. And we are traveling to the US on Tuesday morning, Monday night, 4 days in Istanbul, till from Tuesday to Thursday. And Sonalji was wonderful. She has some contacts in Istanbul and connected me with that person. So we are meeting a local Turkish person for dinner on one of the days, and nothing like having a local friend, to guide us and to be with us. So we are doing that for 4 days in Istanbul, and then USA for several weeks. But we will continue this, our open door at the same time, because that the time there will be 10 a.m., which is okay. So we are still on. Except this Thursday, we will see. I'll be in Istanbul, so that may be a little difficult. We'll see. But anyway, look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. And we'll be back, planning to be back in August, or August ke baad hum shayad the end of August, September mein physically be in the same time and the same space also. Right. That it reminds me, this, what I was talking about, separated in space and time. So why do we like to hug? Because we want to occupy the same space. Also, hugging is nothing but a desire to occupy the same space at the same time. So that's what a hug is. So a Zoom hug to all of you. A virtual hug, everybody. Wonderful. Meantime, there's one more song that we are close to completing, which will be released very soon. It's a dialogue. It's a dialogue between the body and the soul. So it's a musical, dialogue. Vedosi and I have been creating this together, and I'm excited to share it with you soon. Great. So guys, invite other people, more people, your family, your friends, and unko bhi is pravah mein, is धारावाही वो बोलते हैं ना, धारावाही. इस धारावाही में उनको भी शामिल करें. Your friends, your family, strangers, anyone, everyone is welcome. Great.